Yeah. I'm gonna share my screen and let's see if this works. Yay! It
We're
looks like it's
live.
working. We're live. Okay. I'm just gonna play a little song in the background and just wait for a few minutes before getting started on this. Probably start at like 6:01. But yeah. It's Teddy time. Well, thank you. Oh, and I'm joined by my lovely roommate Soren today, who's going to be helping me with the reading we're going to be doing later. So, more about that soon to come. Ooh. Um, so yay. This is pretty exciting. This is my first time like doing a stream like this ever, so a little bit like but it's all good.
You're gonna do good. You're gonna
Oh,
do great.
well, thank you. Um, no, I think we can just get started now. Okay, great. Well, I'm gonna go full screen. Is this showing the full slide for people? Is that working out? Yes, woo! That's what I like to hear. Yay! Okay, well, hi everyone. I kind of already did an intro for myself, but I have it on slides, so I'll do it again. My name is Teddie. I'm a cartoonist. Like many people are here, or we have a lot of comics enjoyers as well, so yay for that. And I am currently based in Chicago. I actually grew up in Minnesota, so Midwest represent for my whole life. And yeah, it's a good place to be. It's a pretty good place for comics too, which feels very fortunate. I'm excited to be at CXC. Like I mentioned, this is my first time being an online vendor and doing a live stream. I did go to CXC last year. I didn't join the Discord, but I watched a bunch of the live streams and I was like, oh, this is a really fun online convention. And it was really great to see so many kind of different levels of the comics community come together. So I'm excited to be a part of it this year. And I'm going to be reading one of my comic books tonight, which is fun, funky, fresh, and something a little bit new. I've never done something like this before, so we'll see how it goes. But first, I just wanted to go through the wares that I am selling / promoting at CXC this weekend. I have 5 comic books that I'm kind of featuring. These 3, Piano Hands is kind of an all-ages comics about a little girl and a ghost. Zelda is a comic about love, robots, and relationship failures. And Rat and Bear is about also relationship failures and queer identity. And then these are the other 2. They're what I've been referring to as queer noir, and they follow cases with Detective Floyd Brennan. So I'm not going to go too much into these 2 because I'm about to read Smoking Gun to you, so don't want to get too much into it if you're just going to see it. Show, don't tell, right? So here we go. Smoking Gun, live reading. And as I mentioned, I'm joined by Soren here. So here they are.
Thank you for having me.
Say hello, yay. And so I'm just going to go through the cast. There's Floyd Brennan, our lead detective. Barry Hughes, a detective whose agency moved in across the hall from Floyd's. Matthew Engelhoff, man whose wife has mysteriously died earlier this month. And a mysterious woman whose name may or may not be B. So just wanted to give a brief content warning. So there are depictions of murder and violence, as well as discussion of suicide and discussion of / implication of police negligence. That's not something you're interested in, totally fair. Feel free to hop out of the chat. I'm going to quickly turn video off before we start doing the reading, just for my sake. And yeah, I'm excited to share this with you guys. So now, presenting Smoking Gun. Doo-doo-doo.
Known as Flossie to their close friends, and Floyd during their business hours, our detective prepares for another day on the latest case. Breaking news in the case of Laura Engelhoff, local woman found dead earlier this month. Police have now ruled her death a suicide after autopsy.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. The gun was found a good 5 feet away from the body.
Police are still trying to locate Miss Engelhoff's husband, Matthew, for a brief questioning. If you have any tips regarding his whereabouts, call...
Hello. Could you leave a message for the current occupant of room 4B? I'd like to meet him in Burns Park at 9 p.m. tonight. Tell him it's about his wife. Thank you. Today, meet Miss Matthew Engelhoff at 9 p.m. Come in.
Mr. Brennan! What a brilliant morning!
A fairly average morning, Mr. Hughes. Can I help you?
Well, I wondered if you had any updates on that Engelhoff case. I heard the police ruled her death a suicide this morning.
I don't know what you want me to say, Barry. It's ridiculous. All of the neighbors reported hearing them fighting before her death, and he's been missing since the day she died.
You think he did it?
I think the police should reconsider, certainly. If they don't, I'm still on the case. Assuming my client doesn't agree with the police's decision about her sister's death.
And then what happens?
What?
What happens to Matthew Engelhoff once you catch him?
Well, that's hardly my jurisdiction.
Well, I'll see you around.
Bye, Hughes. Goddamn weirdo.
That night. Are you the one who called the hotel?
Are you Matthew Engelhoff?
Yes.
Then yes, I am.
And who the hell are you? How'd you get the number from the hotel room? You're that son of a bitch detective on my case, aren't you?
No,
Yes, you are. I recognize your face from the paper. Ha! And you thought it was a good idea to meet me alone in the dark.
I'm not alone.
Oh yeah? You got backup?
Sure I do.
I searched the whole area before coming to meet with you. I'm not so stupid to walk into an ambush, and I know you're not working with the police.
Listen, Matthew. I just wanted to ask you why. Why you killed your wife.
Oh, why I did it? I did it because she was a bitch! I did it because Laura didn't want to listen to me anymore. Well, now she can't. You know, the police aren't even trying to catch me. It's just your meddling that's keeping me away from getting away with it. I should kill you too.
I'm armed!
A little pocket knife? Real cute. It would kind of be a pathetic murder weapon.
Whoa there.
But I guess I'll make do.
Hey!
Heh. You dumb little detective. Not so powerful anymore. I'll tell you the one thing about killing Laura, since you worked so hard to find me. It was fun. I had fun killing her. And I'll have fun killing you too. Because no one gets in the way.
Ah! Who are you?
You're welcome.
But who are you? Wait! Who are you?
The next morning. Good morning, Floyd Brennan.
Morning, Barry Hughes.
You look down. What's the matter?
Things have escalated in the Engelhoff case. Matthew Engelhoff was shot last night.
Oh, yeah. By some unknown person, I heard. Do you know anything about her?
No, nothing. I'm completely lost.
Well, let me know if you want any help. I'm across the hall as always.
Thanks, Barry.
This just in. Local man Matthew Engelhoff was found dead last night, shot in the head. There are currently no leads in regards to the shooter's identity. If you have any tips leading to the man who shot Mr. Engelhoff, call...
Man?
Come in? Mr. Brennan, can I help you?
Oh. You know what, Barry? I can't remember why I came here. Have a good day.
Oh, well, you too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
End scene. So yay! Oh my gosh, that's Smoking Gun! And I'm super excited that I got to do a live reading of that. I hope you all enjoyed that. Yay! Oh, there's me announcing that it's Smoking Gun. And yeah, so that one is for sale this weekend. Also Off the Rails, which is kind of more of an origin story to the character, talking about what they were doing a few years before this and kind of getting set up in all of that. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been focusing on mostly in my practice right now, which is of course very fun for me. And now, ooh, what is this? A CXC surprise! Whoa! Who knew this was coming? I am going to be debuting 2 pages from a comic that I'm currently working on. Work in progress, untitled comic that is going to be a rough sequel to Smoking Gun. And so I just wanted to read 2 pages from that today. And yay! Well, let's just get right into it. Again, with the lovely Soren helping me with some of the voices. Hello?
Good morning. I'd like to speak to Floyd Brennan.
This is Floyd.
Wonderful! Mr. Brennan, this is Delia Wells with the Tribune. I'm calling to get a statement. As I was saying, I'd really love a statement.
Don't call me.
Don't you have your panties in a twist this morning? Listen, Floyd, dear, it's only a few questions and I'll let you get on your way.
Miss Wells, with all the little respect I have for you, after your article came out today, I'm not thrilled to be talking to you.
Answering some questions could give you the chance to clear your name.
I'm not interested in talking to you now.
How about later? I'll stop by your office this afternoon and we can go over the facts.
No, I don't.
Wonderful! I'll write it down in my planner. See you later, dear Floyd.
Wait! And scene. So yay! That's a little excerpt of something I'm working on right now. And yeah, someone in the comments said never talk with the police. Yeah, that's something I'm still figuring out how it's gonna fit into this. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on right now, and I'm excited to see where that goes. I have a little presentation about the process for my comics, actually, because that was just 2 pages. I thought it would be easy to use that as an example, so I'm just going to go into that. So usually I write out the stuff first. You know, I feel like as cartoonists, we should be writing and drawing simultaneously, but also, like, if I don't know how much dialogue I have, I'm going to write way too much and then it won't fit on the page. So you can see even here, I'm like trying to think about the tiers on the page and making sure I'm not taking up too much space in the writing stages. Then that gets put into thumbnails. So I've got my very rough thumbnails up here, kind of breaking it into the tiers where those panels are going to be. I was thinking a lot about the environment too. This story is roughly supposed to be in a pseudo 1950s. So first I was designing a newsroom kind of based on my current contemporary item, and I was like, this is too modern. So I did some photo research. This is what I came up with, where it's more of a space that everyone shares together. It's not really a breakdown of cubicles or private space necessarily. I was thinking about Dahlia's outfit and the article. So just kind of doing some concepts to make sure I know what I'm going to be illustrating. After that, I draw it all to scale on grid paper. Lately, I've been doing all my work traditionally and like inking it on a light board where I put a piece of bristle on top of the sketch layer. So I tend to sketch on graph paper to make sure that like I'm getting the lettering aligned and the panels are at least somewhat not crooked. So that's what that looks like. For inking, lately I've been using C5 nib for the panel borders and B6 for lettering and sometimes for larger character strokes. And I don't necessarily do panel borders with a ruler. I feel like once I have a straight line and I'm going over the top of it, if there's a bit of wiggle, I feel like that kind of adds an artistic hand. And then I also have been doing a lot of Tombow brush pens for character design. And then here's the final page, and there's my face holding the final page. They're pretty big. They're 11 by 14, so that kind of gives you a scale of how they end up looking. And yeah, and now we're at questions. So if you have any questions for me about anything that I've presented on, that would be fun, funky, fresh, which I've said twice tonight now I'm realizing, but it sure would be. So, but yeah. Thanks again to CXC for like sponsoring this event, or sponsoring might be the wrong word, hosting this event. It's been very fun. But yeah. Oh, what's the final page size? Yeah, when I've been printing them, I've been printing them at 6x9, so it gets scaled down a lot. I think ideally I'd be printing a bit bigger because I'm pretty thorough with details, but right now I'm currently printing at 6x9 just because it's like the most affordable, larger format than 8.5 by 5.5 that I can go right now, but maybe larger in the future. I have printed some of them smaller, but it tends to get really tight. Usually it's readable, but not how I would like it to be readable. So, yeah. Oh, thank you for top-notch sound effects. That kind of came in at the last second. I was like, if we're doing this, we need to do sound effects. So it's like a lot of just fidgets that we turned into sound effects, which was very fun. What sort of noir stuff are you drawing from? Like movies or comics? What do you mean when you say noir? Yeah, say that. I'm meaning it more as a like way to. That's a really good question. Because, I personally grew up with a lot of cozy mysteries that are not necessarily noir, so a lot of my kind of mystery and thriller influence is coming from stuff that's kind of outside of that genre, but usually does have a historical focus and a historical bend. That being said, there's a lot of noir films that I think are really inspirational for like lighting and character types, and I think part of what is interesting to me is taking archetypes of sort of detective fiction and noir and then twisting them and making them something more queer positive. Queer positive might be the wrong word, maybe just queer neutral, like characters that are not necessarily in these stories unless they're just there to get killed off, then instead being the heroes of those stories. That's something I'm interested about. Your patterns remind me of some of the Chicago Imagists. That's really interesting. Because I feel like I was exposed to a lot of the Chicago Imagists freshman year of college. Remember that? We actually literally had a class together where we had to look at a bunch of that art. Yeah, not deliberately, but now that you say that, that's definitely been a subconscious influence. Like I was at actually the Minneapolis Institute of Art and they had a Roger Brown piece and I was like, oh, this looks like what I've been trying to do lately, huh? Is mystery your favorite genre to work with? Yeah, so right now it's kind of been my focus of what I work with. I generally like the idea that all storytelling should have a twist that's interesting in it. But I think for a very long time, I found mystery incredibly difficult to write because there's so many moving parts. And if you don't sit down and plan them all out, it'll be hard for your brain to wrap around. Or if you're trying to do short form, it can be really hard to get it condensed enough for it to have a satisfying twist. So I don't know if it would be my favorite genre, but I've gotten to a point where I can reasonably think about it and it makes sense in my head. So that is like a huge plus from where I was writing even a few years ago. But yeah, I mean, I guess I like stories that have some sort of like satisfactory conclusion. I write a fair bit of science fiction when I'm not writing this stuff. I've just been very kind of tunnel vision focused on that lately. Write a variety of like kind of more lighthearted cartoons with furry animals, but that's not been what I've been doing lately, I guess. But yeah, thank you all for the questions. Yay. Oh, what aspects of sci-fi do I like the most? I feel like this has kind of been hinted about in detective fiction too, but like I'm LGBTQ and or part of that community, and for me, like getting to write genre fiction that focuses on themes and identities that are not usually represented in that genre is super great. And also science fiction is totally something that has a rich history of queer writers and queer representation in it. And that's something I like want to explore in my own work, even if it's not directly, but rather metaphorically. I think there's a lot of interesting precedent for that. So that's something I find really appealing in science fiction. Also, just I think science fiction is really great for talking about larger issues that you don't want to address head on and instead address them through a fictional premise. So I think it's also very good for if you're working with larger social issues or commentary or stuff like that. Which I don't know if my work is successfully doing that. Certainly Smoking Gun that I read today is just kind of a straight up thriller, but there definitely are pieces of work where I'm trying to take issues and represent them through something else. But yes, queer aliens and stuff, that is exactly what I want to see more of in my books. Actually, Zelda, I would classify, I don't know if it would necessarily classify as queer sci-fi, but I definitely feel like Zelda is in that realm where I was very inspired by the short story, The Girl Who Was Plugged In by, the author's name is failing me. If I remember it, I'll put it in the chat later, but it's this really excellent short story, and Zelda's not really anything like it, but I think there's just a lot of ways to construct metaphors about relationships and love and identity through science fiction and through robots and through those sorts of things. So hopefully I'll get to explore that more, but so focused on mystery fiction right now that I'll have to dig myself out of that hole first. But yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else really exciting and precedent that I could mention, but
Who are your favorite comic artists?
ooh, question from the in-person audience, which is who are my favorite comic artists, which is a great question, but also such a hard question because as soon as someone says that, I can't remember any cartoonist's name. Like they just pop out of my head and I no longer know who they are. But I am a huge reader of the Nib, and like most people who do work for the Nib, I really, really love. Actually, like comics journalism is some of my favorite comics to both read and like when I have the time and energy make myself. So like Ben Passmore does a bunch of work that is like comics journalism or political comics adjacent that I really love. Joey Allison Sayers, I believe it's pronounced. So a bunch of people who do work for the Nib, I really look up to and admire and respect. That's usually my go-to answer. Yes, I agree with Aaron. I mean, I just said that I like Ben Passmore, so I feel like, of course, I would agree with that. But I really love Alison Bechdel's work. That's, it is what it is. I read the Essential Decks to Watch Out For last year, and that was like mind blown kind of wonderful experience for me. And also, I don't know if this is oversharing on the live stream, but also definitely helped me get out of a toxic queer relationship I was in at the time because I was reading Dykes to Watch Out For, and I was like, uh-oh, this is me. Uh-oh, I need to break up with this person. So thanks, Alison Bechtel, for helping me through my first lesbian-adjacent breakup. It all works out in the end. But yeah, so I enjoy those comics. I'm trying to think of like some small press things I read recently or non-journalism things that kind of failing me. Yeah. Yeah, someone said, I feel like Alison Bechtel has been that lady for a bunch of people. I agree. And that is like an amazing legacy. That is such a great legacy to have. Dykes to Watch Out For helps with every life situation. So true. So true. I feel like if I'm having a problem, there's probably someone who's also having that problem in that like complete collection, which kind of a relief sometimes. But car won't start. I don't know about the car. I don't know if that would help. Just like, I mean, if the car won't start, you could just read a comic book and stay at home, and that might help in every situation. But yeah, I am failing myself at words. I like really practiced and rehearsed the comic reading, and now I'm just like vibing. So but it's fine. But yeah, thank you for coming to my talk and like listening to me talk about my work. That feels like an incredible privilege and just very weird to get to have a platform at all to do that sort of stuff. So I truly appreciate people who've come to this stream. So that's like crazy to me. And yeah, I don't know if I have much else to say. Read people's comics, support each other. Community is so important in these very isolated times still. You know, things are getting better, but getting better is relative, and it's hard to talk to people in so many ways. But that's kind of a downer note, but reading too much of the nib. Anyways, yeah, thank you all so much for coming. I think I'm just going to probably end a few minutes early because I don't have anything incredibly precedent left to say, but thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed the reading, and I'll see you all around CXC. I hope I can come to more streams and see people around. So, yay!